What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak on a some comments that Rick Bucher made about Caitlin Clark and how he thinks that Caitlin Clark like kind of contributes to putting that target on her back. And not that that's a bad thing, but I really I agree with his comments, and he kind of compared her to Larry Bird and like some of the things she do and the way she carry herself on the court. And so with that being said, I want to listen to Rick Bucher's comments about Caitlin Clark. Then I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna make I'm gonna add my commentary to what Rick Bucher says.
About me. That's what everybody has to deal with. She's dealing with it as well.
There's a little more to it than that, though.
Ooh.
And I would say it's not just the excellence that raises the temperature, it's also the attention. They're getting more attention than ever, and they're seeing there's money in that attention, and they want to take advantage of it. But she sprinkles a little more on top of it, and I don't want to ignore that. We try to portray her as, man, this girl from Iowa, and she's this sweet little thing, and she's just this girl shooting threes, and why is everybody mad at her?
Yeah.
She lets you know that she thinks she's the baddest thing on the floor, right? And she's going to talk that stuff, and she walks it, right? And if I'm a competitor, I'm like, okay, you're doing a little too much. And you ain't like that physically.
Yeah.
So what's my advantage? I'm going to get a little physical with you. And I just went to the Valkyrie Seattle game over the weekend when I was at home. And we had some of this. I'm watching some of this, but it's not making highlights. And if it was in this, that happened in the NBA, would this be highlights the next day? It would not. To Shady's point, like, we look at the women a little bit different.
Depends on who. Depends on.
All right, so I want to interrupt him right here because Rick Bucher did say that like Caitlin Clark, she does add some, she kind of add like a little bit of a little spark to that flame as far as like she's very confident and she's cocky sometimes, and she let people know like she is that person. And so people these women don't like to be shown up. They take that stuff, that kind of stuff personally and as a challenge, and so they go back at her. And a lot of times sometimes these players are bigger and more physical than Caitlin Clark, so yeah, they're gonna go at her like that. And so I agree with Rick Bucher on that point right there. So but I want to listen to some more of what Rick Bucher has to say about Caitlin Clark.
If it's LeBron,
we
talking about it. Now, is it fair to compare Caitlin Clark to LeBron James? Absolutely not at this stage as it pertains to their game. As it pertains to the eyes they bring to the league, I would suggest yes. But remember, when LeBron got into it with the Pistons dude, the Bahamian dude, Isaiah Stewart, we talked about it. Now it was a little more tenacious. You could suggest Isaiah bleeding and stuff, running around the court. I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
But if it's LeBron, Slick, we talking, aren't we?
Is it making two segments? I don't know. And here's, this is the biggest thing for me is just the way she's portrayed as if she's being attacked. And why are they attacking? To me, she's Larry Bird. And we know now how much junk Larry Bird talked.
Yeah.
And how much he lit that fire. She's doing the same thing. She's not on, and what's also raising the temperature is that the Fever are like that now. Like, I think if it's escalated even higher, it's because Caitlin's not only putting it on you, but the Fever are beating teams by 18 and 20. And so that only gets everybody else even hotter. I think she brings some of it. I think she's turning up the temperature as well by not just by her play, but by the attitude that she carries.
I like the fact that he compared her to Larry Bird. People, a lot of basketball players who played against Larry Bird would tell you that Larry Bird was like one of the biggest trash talkers, in the league. Like they said that Michael Jordan really didn't like talk a lot. Magic, didn't, not to his competitors unless you challenged him Magic Johnson was the same way. But Larry Bird, they say he would talk that trash to you, and he would back it up. So I've said it before. I see a lot of similarities in the way Caitlin Clark carries herself to the way Larry Bird, carried himself. And players didn't like it when Larry Bird did it, and players don't like it when Caitlin Clark do it. Rick Bucher also said that like she has this image. She comes from Iowa, and people think that she's not really, like she probably quiet and laid back, but that's not the situation with Caitlin Clark. Monica McNutt said if she was mic'd up, man, you will be surprised at what you hear from Caitlin Clark on the court. And it's the same way with Larry Bird. Like when people, say that, Larry Bird just was a major, he just talked major trash. The thing about it though, you're talking about people who can back it up. And that's what that's what really pisses people off when you can talk trash and back it up, and people feel they start to feel challenged, and they start to feel like maybe they can't do anything about it. So you're gonna get this kind of play. You're gonna get physical play. It just comes with the territory. And so it's almost like like a boxer that talks stuff, just to kind of like get you out of your game and get you out of focus. And then once you off of your once you're off track and off focus, then you really are at their mercy. Dennis Rodman did it. Dennis Rodman used to play mind games with the opponents. Everybody knew going into the game that Dennis Rodman was going to try to get under your skin. Coaches would talk to their players like, don't let Dennis get under your skin. But then when the game start and in the heat of battle, it's just something different. And I think it's the same thing with Caitlin Clark. She just gets under people's skin. And then on top of that, she played the way she played. She's on a team that is she's making her teammates better. So she's on a team that can really if you just had to worry about stopping just Caitlin Clark, then that's one thing. The physical play and it would backfire on her. But that's not the only weapon that the Indiana Fever have. And so if you focus all your attention on Caitlin Clark, I think then you're playing into the Indiana Fever hand, because now, other people start to get involved, and other players just start to get off. And so, you just got to keep your wits about you, as far as I'm concerned, and just not allow Caitlin Clark to get in your head. You can play physical, but you don't want to get into the back and forth with her. Yeah, man. But yeah, she do kind of she brings that fire. She stokes the fire, and she makes it so like you want to go back at her. And it's almost like a team that press, right? Some teams press to speed the game up and to get the other team to play faster than they want to play, which if you play faster than you're used to playing and faster than what you want to play, then what happens is you're out of control. That's just not something that you're used to. And I'm seeing a lot of young ladies around the WNBA, a lot of these teams that go up against Caitlin, they're playing they're playing out of control. They're playing in a way that they're not used to playing. And then they get caught up in in these big distractions, and you're playing into the Indiana Fever hand. And more importantly, you're playing into Caitlin Clark's hand. Like, that's right up her alley. That's what she wants to do. And so when teams start to figure this out, and they start focusing on a game instead of, putting all their attention into Caitlin Clark, maybe they might have a different outcome. But for right now, I just think that Rick Bucher is right. She reminds me a lot of Larry Bird. Can shoot, can pass, make her teammates better, and she talked that stuff. So it's You know, like these teams have their work cut out for them. It's gonna be tough when you have somebody that talented, you know, and then you have talent around them. That it's gonna, you know, it's gonna be tough. So yeah, I agree with just about everything that Rick Bucher said in that clip. And that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I will check you all out in the next video. Peace.